Welcome to Factoring 101, and I'm Dave Cokerhook with Midland American Capital. Today I'm going to discuss PO, or purchase order financing. Now, some factoring companies, like Midland American, offer both invoice factoring and purchase order financing. However, I find that many commercial business owners misinterpret what PO financing means. Now, let me explain. There are two types of purchase order that a business will experience. One is the demand-side PO that comes from a customer. This is the request for product or service. That request is converted into a sales order for ultimate delivery to the customer. Now, the other is the supply-side PO. This is the purchase order that you issue to your supplier for the product you need to fulfill your obligation to a customer. Factoring companies deal with supply-side POs. Now, this service can be extremely useful for businesses such as manufacturing, importing, and wholesale distribution. Sometimes a supplier will require full payment for merchandise before you can take custody of that merchandise. This can create two challenges for a business. First, without the product, you can't deliver to your customer and generate revenue. And second, if you don't have sufficient cash reserves, you can't pay the vendor, thus you cannot gain access to the merchandise. Supply-side PO financing is a way to address these challenges. Your factor will establish letters of credit that define the conditions under which they will transfer funds to the supplier. Once those conditions are met and the vendor is paid, you can then take custody of the merchandise and do what is needed in order to deliver to and invoice your customer. Upon invoicing the customer, the factor will buy that invoice. They will use part of the proceeds from the AR to pay back the PO advance. The balance of the funds will be dealt with in the manner defined by your service contract. Now, that is, what part is paid to you immediately and what part is held back until your customer remits payment on the invoice. To qualify for PO financing, you must have a demand-side order from your customer. That means your supply-side order to the vendor cannot be solely to bolster on-hand inventory. It needs to correspond to a customer demand order. In addition, your gross profit, by that I mean the margin on material only, not considering any overhead expenses, that margin should be 30% or higher. That is to ensure that you can still meet all operating expenses after the service fee, which is likely to be 3 or 5% after the service fee is paid. Now, here's the beauty of using PO financing. You may only need to use the service a few times in order to accomplish one or both of the following. 1. Create a reserve balance sufficient to cover future supply-side orders. Or 2. Demonstrate to your supplier that you are a good partner and are worthy of payment terms. Either one will enable you to continue to expand without the need to continue to use that service.